Warmly welcome all of you to this conference. And first, I would like to thank Bundesbank and for co-host this event with us and provide this fantastic environment and for the hospitality as well. So thank you, President, and thank you for your colleague. I would like to also thank the preparational team from both Robert and Bundesbank and also from Claudia from IMF. They have done fantastic work, so we'll be able to enjoy all these very nice environments as well. So please, all your team to stand, and please give them a warm, big applause for all the teams. Please, proud. Where's it, Robert? Yes, please. Yeah, all the team, please, yeah. Thank you very much. Now, as we say, this is the third conference now. The first conference, we focus on the macroeconomic data because the macro challenge is still the same as 3 years ago. The second ones, we focus on the macro and the financial sector because it's become ever clear the market moves so fast and the data works in the financial sector still lag behind. So that's the second one. So this is the third one. We move into the new area now. We move into the micro data. We move into the micro relations. We move into the big data. We move into, particularly the measurements is also, we follow G20 gaps to whom, which is a classical issue for the data information as well. This is a very much a new area. Why is that? I think in the past 12 months, two things really struck me. The first issue is the globalization take a quite different form. If you're looking for the past 20 years, anytime we talk about globalizations, we talk about trade, we talk about FDI, and then we talk about investments. But what happened in the past 12 months, particularly in the past few months, right after the financial crisis, we see the trade growth slow down. The first time the trade growth rate in the past 7 years is below the GDP growth rate in the whole world. Before the crisis, the trade growth rate is always 2 times much stronger than GDP growth rate. It's the first time trade growth slowed down. Compare today with 2007, the global FDI ratio to global GDP dropped quite a bit. In 2007, the global FDI in terms of global GDP share is 4.8%. Today, 2.8%. The global FDI dropped roughly 40% after 2008 financial crisis in roughly 7 years. Why is that? There are many reasons behind it. A lot of research try to figure out what happened going on. I think that's not an issue for us. But really the issue is to show if those drive forces are slowed down, does globalization change, slows, or reverse, or come back, or stall? That's a big question. But meanwhile, what we observe is another side of globalization, which is interconnectivities increase dramatically. We live in a much hyper connected world today now. The co-movements across all different classes of assets, from equity market to the bonds market, and to the currency market, to derivatives particularly, and within those classes of assets, across different classes of assets, co-movements roughly increased in the whole world before the crisis from 20%, 25%, to the crisis peak around 80%. Today dropped a little bit, still around 50 to 60%. The financial market move into the one direction, move much more faster, which is challenging. And the spillover becomes the big issue. And when the market move into together, when spillover become big, it makes policy response much more challenging now. The interconnectivity is really a big change today. It changed not only the financial sector, but also our policy response space as well. I think every people here remember what happened in the US Treasury market last October. Everybody here will remember what fast market movements in the bonds and here in this market. And everybody remember vividly how much Chinese equity market and exchange rate impacted the global market, have such a big move, and the VIX, and always move dramatically up and down, which is the phenomenon we never, ever observed before. Now, fund move quickly into this area. In the past few years, we working very hard. We developed the new products we call the early warning exercise. We do external risk assessments. We do spillover studies. We do macrofinance linkage. We do interconnectivities. All those things, as long as we move in, we'll realize we need the data. Data is not there yet. The second big trend struck me last year is very much, or in the past 12 months, particularly this year, is how much the macro policy shift to more social dimensions. This year is very much the year of development because we have the financing for developments in Addis in July. We had SDGs conference in New York in September. In 10 days, we'll have a climate conference in Paris. Now, the policy areas pay more attention on those social issues. We also believe those are issues macro relevant to us as well. We move quickly into the climate change issues. We move quickly into the income inequality issues, into the financial inclusion issues, and including the gender issues as well. When we launch all those products, we move into these areas, immediately, clearly we found the data. Data is not there yet. It's involving more micro data, more survey data, and it's not only the macro official data, and as well as we need both side things. Our statistical departments move very fast, working extremely hard. They expand the data scope, they uplift DDS to SDDS, add more variables. They update the GDDS to eGDDS, which is enhanced GDDS for the low-income country, emerging markets as well, which also add extra variables, broad sense. They go deeper and deeper, getting all the data to the sector level, particularly to financial sectors as well. But clearly, there is a gap of the data. I think the data becomes such a big issue now. We, as a mandate to maintain global financial and economic stability, we always are risk managers. But it is the data bring the risk out of the shadow to the sunshine. To review the risk, I think this is the most important. If we don't have data, we really just cannot find the key issues, put our hands on it to manage the risk as well. So big data knocked the door. Just 2 weeks ago, at the fund, we had the first conference about big data. We invite all the global renowned experts in these areas, including chief economist Professor Varens from Google, who was with Google since 2002 and really have a rich experience on big data issues, and many experts from the world come down to the IMF and talk about big data issues as well. Now, as statisticians, as economists, we always concerned whether we are confident about data generation process, the quality for the big data. We always concerned whether we statisticians or economists can work with machine learning. We're always not sure, because big data is a correlation. It's not a causality, whether the correlation can tell us something about the causality. But the most striking thing from that meeting, what I found, and after the meeting, I had a quite quality long-hour discussion with Professor Wilhelm, is in all the meetings, the big data talk is a social behavior. It's a micro issue. Actually, nothing macro issues on that table or on that table. I learned a great deal for that day's conference. But when I leave the conference, it's clear to me there's a gap even within the big data. We, as a statistic communities, have to get into it, look into it. As our managing director, Chris Lagarde, did an opening remark is that day, he says, we should ask ourselves, how can we leverage big data for fun work? I think this is probably the question we all should ask ourselves. They're huge data, and they're time series as well. Professor Wilhelm told me Google have 11 years time series, cover almost all those countries and zillions data. But the key issue for us, how can we leverage these data sets for our macro policy formations? I think that's a challenge. There's a challenge for the big data expertise, but also particularly for us, because we found a response for the macro policy formation as well. So I think it's very important for this community to take these opportunities to look into these big data issues, and particularly look into the micro issues, and even to take a lead in this area as well. That's become ever clear when I walked out that day's conference at the IMF 10 days ago about big data conference. So we'll have a conference here. So today and the next day, we'll focus and we'll talk a few key issues, particularly the macro issues. We talk macro, micro. We talk big data. We talk about evidence-based policy making. And then we talk about measurements. I think this is extremely important issue for the statistic communities and also for macro policy as well. Because clearly without data, the policy cannot move forward. So this meeting is so important, and I'm so happy you're all here. I would like to thank you very much once again for your take time off from your busy schedule to join us today. And so I'm very confident and very looking forward to day and a half very fruitful, constructive discussions as well. And thank you very much.